Thank you. Please note that this meeting will be live streamed. And is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? None. Public hearings, we have.
Under section 53 and 34 of the Planning Act, a public hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments on zoning bylaw amendment and consent applications for the following property. The applicant is George Wade. The location is part of Lot 8, Concession 5, Merritt Township, Queensway, in the town of Escanoma. The effect of the consent applications is to sever 7 new lots to accommodate a total of 27 residential garden home row house units configured as 1 3-unit row house and 6 4-unit row houses. Proposed lots have between 40-meter and 58-meter frontage on the new proposed municipal road and between 1,318 square meters and 2,021 square meters in area. The proposed retained lot is 149,851 square meters. And the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the severed lands from the residential first density holding zone to residential third density special exception 5 holding zone in order to permit the garden home row house dwelling units and provide exceptions for the proposed driveway configurations. The holding zone will still be in place until municipal services are provided.
Is there anyone here who wants to speak to this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to introduce myself. I'm here as a representative on behalf of Harrison Holdings, the developer for the project, and I'm happy to be available for any questions.
Yes?
Is there a microphone available for better hearing?
No, I'm afraid not.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question or a comment they want to make concerning this issue? None. Council, you have any questions or comments?
No, other than the fact that I was happy to see this development moving forward, Your Worship. I know Mr. Wade has been working in the community here for, God knows, 25 years trying to get development and things going. And I think this is the furthest I've ever seen him got advanced, where it looks like this project is going to move forward. And it was interesting that it happened now, because not that many months ago we had a contingent here looking for rental units as they aged, and they wanted nice, clean, affordable units. This may solve those problems and help us as a municipality by seeing those things develop ahead.
I think it's commendable too as well, Mr. Wade, that we're finally going to have some movement on this, and I think it's going to be a very positive thing. Anyone else? All right.
Worship?
Your Worship, I just have one
Sorry.
question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Is there a cost going to come back to the community in any way for this development?
No.
No, zero?
Yes.
Question is it going to affect anybody who lives on the Queensway with their property taxes? As in going down or up because of the development?
I wouldn't know that.
Paula can probably answer better, but everything is based by impact on assessments.
Right.
We don't do assessment.
Okay.
So impact, when they come in, they will look at it. I'm sure that's what our staff, I would think, will look at it and decide if there's anything attributed from the development onto you. But I personally wouldn't think so, but I'm not impact.
Okay.
Could be, could not. Yes.
Is there a roadway going into that development from Queensway Avenue?
I believe it is, yes.
Would it be next door to 481?
I'm not familiar
There's a
with.
vacant lot. We're at 481. There's a vacant lot between us and our neighbors. Almost opposite the playing field.
I think so. I think
Think that
that's
would
what
be a roadway going in?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Through you, Your Worship. There is I'm not exactly sure of the addresses, however, there is a clear vacant, or it looks like a vacant lot, but it is always been intended for a road allowance to that.
That's what
property.
I've heard in the past.
Yes.
I wondered if that would be used now to go in.
That's right, it is the width of a road allowance.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the intention.
Anyone else? Yes.
Sorry. In regards to, I already looked at the lot plan, and my house, the first unit is directly behind my house. Is there anything where, I'm not sure if like either it would be town or it would be the builders, would look at possibly extending the height of my fence? Because when I'm on my deck with my pool, I'm now gonna be looking at a unit instead of looking at nature.
Probably the builder has something.
Can the developer answer that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so we will be ensuring to maintain any of the trees and topography in the area to help maintain all the natural features, as well in terms of where your property is located.
Mine's 475.
Yeah, so if you take a look at one of the site plans that's there for the triplex units, your backyard would mostly be backyard to the housing unit,
Okay.
so not necessarily people's windows and such. And again, it is geared towards a 55 plus.
And they are gonna be one level.
Yeah, single story as well. So that would probably make a difference in terms of elevations.
Right.
All right. Yes, sir.
Now, is that going to be built in a one shot, or is it going to drag on for 5 or 6 years before it's finished?
The developer would be better to answer that. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the first two buildings would be completed in the first year. So we anticipate shoveling the ground in 2018. We're looking at the spring of 2019 to be able to offer the first 7 units available. And then every year for the next 2 years subsequent. So year 2, we would do 12 more units, so 3 more buildings. And year 3, we would do another 2 buildings, another 8 units for the total of the 27 units. So over a 3 to 4 year horizon, of course dependent on if there's delays, significant delays in the beginning of the administrative environment.
Sure is nice to hear all this work going to be done. Yes, sir.
Just one question is, who's paying for the roadway? Your company or the town?
No.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my pockets are very empty, as the developer is the one responsible for putting in the municipal roadway and the water and sewer and all the services.
Will that include sidewalks on either side?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as part of the development agreement with the municipality, yes, there will be a provision for sidewalk.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Will the sole purpose for the development be to sell, or will it be leased units or rented units?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're looking at both options, making them available to the community depending on the demand. So the developer is open-minded in terms of whether there's a demand for lease or a demand for to purchase. So both options will be available to the interested parties.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to know, now if I buy one, now are you going to rent the one next door to me?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that totally depends on the demand. So we're keeping a very open mind and trying to work with the community members that are interested in living there.
Yes.
Is there any way that if there is no demand for 55 and older, that it would turn and become available to others that don't?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, of course, our target and our demographic is the 55 plus population. We have done a feasibility study, as well the municipality has done several other studies and strategic plans demonstrating that there is a significant need. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Wade already has a waiting list of individuals that are interested in residing there right away. So we feel we should be able to nicely meet our 55 plus population. There's a proven demand.
Yes, sir, again.
Does the developer have a plan to keep up maintenance on the building, and if so, for how many years before it's turned over to private owners?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're looking at a 20 to 25 year outlook, given my current age, in terms of when I plan on retiring. So consideration that I live here locally in the community, and my husband and I in our retirement outlook, we're in it for the long run.
Yes, ma'am.
You may as well stay on.
I'm thinking,
He's
just
making it
going
easy.
back to Laura's question on 55 and over, there's no possibility that this will become a low-income venture?
Can I speak to that?
Are you the
I've been
developers?
working on this project for 31 years, and every time it was always for seniors. I've told everybody this repeatedly, procedures, the demand is there. I had 25 people looking for this. If it ever has to reverse to social assistance or social housing, the cost of a $500,000 road with $200,000 plus per unit, plus the land, plus all of the other soft costs that goes into this, that social housing could not deal with that expense. In other words, their cutoff is about $900 to $1,000 maximum. To get into this type of expense, it's for a particular group of people. We've lost a lot of population. The town has lost, at one point, I think it was 6,500, might be down to 5,000 something right now. In order to keep the taxis without losing any more population, for sure, this is something that these people are looking for. To guarantee that it would always be for senior housing, that's impossible to guarantee, but realistically, there should be no reason you can't not only fill it, but to bring people from Nassau, Elliott Lake, Nairn, and some of the people that have already left, Eskimo, to bring them back. Anyway, I think that it's pretty well for sure that it's gonna happen. The low rounds of, looks like a vacant lot, has actually always been part of the plan of subdivision, which was approved as a plan of subdivision many years ago. And this goes back into the 80s. Right beside your house is 5 acres of already R3 property.
Right, but it's Selden.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So whether, I've been in communication with all the large builders, from Selden, multi-million-dollar projects all over the place. There's no big developers want to come here, and all of our local contractors don't feel that they could put together a project like this, but they're all willing to work with us, whether it's home hardware, whether it's electrical, Concora, and so on. There's several that have already said they want to work on that. So I'm not the builder, I'm the developer, and this will be turned over once everything gets over, but I'll still have a stake in the project.
Thank you,
I'll just
Dirk.
ask you a question since you're there. So you know which house is mine then. So there's the trail that a lot of people use for like walking and stuff like that. Is that actually Selden property or is it yours?
Right beside you, and
Right.
that, yeah, there's 5 acres beside you.
So that's the Selden property, so
Yeah.
you'd still be able to do the walks? That won't be.
This project has
touched, right?
18 acres where the seniors can walk, it's all flat ground, halfway to the hospital, halfway to the mall.
Okay.
Sidewalks all the way through. This will have curb gutter sidewalk, municipal water and sewer, and one level. So you go one step further, it'd be 2-bedroom with garage, double parking at the front,
Right.
and so on. But
Thank you,
if
Mr. Witt.
Any questions, anybody can get a hold of me and give me a call. And then the phone book on the way, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So the public hearing is closed then.
The public hearing is now closed. Council meeting resumes with the question period for the concerning the agenda. Thank you.
Moving into the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Ray Dufour, second by Councillor Robbins.
Question period?
Oh, I
me.
thought it was over, sorry.
What's that?
Question period, Your Worship.
He did
You
call, he
say
did it.
but
Oh, I
not
did.
right.
I think they had their hands up, but you never acknowledged them.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ed Tier, 402 Barber Street. Your Worship,
I'd just like to say I appreciated staff sharing the information with regards to the staff report on hiring freeze. I believe it contains some very interesting information, but possibly some misleading information. It's my hope that council will carefully review the information and ask staff probing questions. Once council has a full understanding of how human resources are classified, full-time, part-time, casual, summer, and how they're allocated, and when any data errors, if any, are corrected, will council consider instituting a specific FTE cap in addition to an overall salary and wage cap, which will ensure cost-saving targets are identified through the budgeting process.
Thank you, sir. That makes it very difficult because we have less staff by 22 people since 2011. And we're loading up the staff we have to the maximum. And I don't know what the effect would be or the joy would be in making sure that we put in a hiring freeze. And I don't know what the purpose would be. That doesn't probably help you. I'm just telling you some facts that are available. Thank you. All right. Adoption of the minutes.
Okay, so I'll reread this motion. Moved by Councillor Ron Dupuis, seconded by Councillor Ray Dufour. Be it resolved that items A1 to F5 and 5 inclusive, contained in Part 1 of the consent agenda, be adopted.
Okay, concerning the A section, are there any questions or comments? Concerning the B section, any questions or comments? Concerning the D section, any questions or comments? Concerning the E section, any questions or comments? Concerning the F section, any questions or comments? Items A1 to F5 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted. All in favor? Carried.
Moving into Part 2 of the regular agenda, item G1, moved by Councillor Ken Duplessis, seconded by Councillor Phil Foster. Be resolved that consent application B01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, and 07/17 be approved with the following conditions. 1, that the owner file with the clerk a copy of the registered reference plan prepared by an Ontario Land Surveyor registered in the province of Ontario to include parts for the following: retained lots, severed lots, municipal roadway. 2, the following information should be confirmed by the surveyor for the severed and retained lots: lot dimensions and area in accordance with the application. The reference plan should conform substantially to the sketch filed with the applications for consent. 3, that the owners file confirmation with the clerk that the zoning bylaw amendment has been approved to permit the proposed use and accounts for the driveway configurations for the severed lots, with all levels of appeal exhausted prior to the lapse of consent. 4, that the owners enter into a development agreement registered against all 8 parts, lots and road, with the town of Espanola regarding such matters as the detailed design and construction of the entire road, provision of municipal water and sewer, installation of utilities, and provision for easements. And that said agreement will require the owner will be responsible for the cost of surveying, registration, and bylaws for the road. That said agreement will require the posting of securities for the construction of the road prior to issuance of a building permit on any part, and that said agreement stipulates that the roadway will be accepted by the town by bylaw, and that water and sewer will be provided for each phase of the development prior to issuance of building occupancy. 5, that the owner provides a stormwater management report that demonstrates how the site will be serviced with storm sewer that is satisfactory to the town. 6, that the lot shall be subject to site plan control. 7, that a Phase 1 environmental site assessment is completed to the satisfaction of the town. 8, that at the time of registration of the parts, an inhibiting order be placed on parts that specifies that no transfer can occur until such time as the road is accepted. And 9, that the owner shall register notice on title of all parts that shall apply to all assigns and successors. The following wording: take notice that this lot is located adjacent to an existing concrete plant operation. As such, this lot may be exposed to impacts typically associated with such a use including noise, dust, vibration, and other nuisances. And be it resolved that bylaw 2381/18 be approved, being a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the affected property from the residential first density holding R1-8 zone to the residential third density special exception 5 holding R3-5-H zone in order to permit a proposed development consisting of 1 3-unit row house and 6 4-unit row houses on 7 parts. Exceptions are required to account for the driveway configurations, lot coverage, and timing of provision of public road frontage for the severed lots. The holding provision is to be in place until the road is accepted by the town by bylaw and municipal services are constructed.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Ron?
No, just like I said earlier, Your Worship, I'm happy to see that this development is finally moving ahead. We're going to have more units available to the people in Espanola. We keep hearing from many people coming here to council that they have no place to go, and this is certainly going to open them up for some.
Yep. Anyone else? All in favor? Carried.
The next item is, item G2 is, there's no resolution, it's just an item for direction.
Any questions or comments concerning the staff report for?
Yeah, I can understand why there's people in the audience confused when they read this, because I read it a number of times, and it means virtually nothing to me. Where we lost all these jobs, and I don't know where the jobs are, what they are. Even one that I find confusing is transportation, Your Worship, where we had 4. Who is transportation?
Public Works.
Who's in Public Works? I mean, there's more than 4. Who's the 4? What jobs are those? I don't know.
For you, Your Worship, if you look at the line below, it talks about unionized staff, so the line above, that's not.
So there are 4 staff positions.
There were in 2011. And
Can somebody tell me what those 4 were? Because as long as I've been here, there was only 3. Ever. Unless we had to transition.
The position that was eliminated there was the tangible capital asset specialist, and a lot of that work came back to the municipal office.
Yeah, I know, but that was only a temporary job. It wasn't there for years. That was only a short-term thing.
That was a very huge regulation that was downloaded onto municipalities, and that position was added as a result of that.
And how long was it in place?
I don't have that
Years,
date. This
6
is
months?
why I'm taking like a point in time, right?
No, I realize that, but to say it was 4 jobs makes it look like we always had 4 jobs there. And we didn't. That was one of those short-term legislative jobs that we put there, and then it disappeared and ended
The
up
quantity
here.
of work was certainly not short-term.
Well, it wasn't there for years.
No, because municipalities never had to account for their assets prior to 2009.
No, I remember when we had to do the asset management. It was a thing that was mandated by the province. We did it, and then it was gone. We have it, we
It's
now
certainly
administer it
not
through the
gone.
town office, though.
It's certainly not gone.
No, it's administered through this office now, not through there. But to do all the asset management, we hired a person at that time to do it, didn't we not?
To do the inventory.
Yes. Yeah, and it was a fairly long project,
And
but
it's ongoing, certainly. So, I mean, that's just one position.
But
There has been a significant amount of change. I think that's the objective of the report, just to demonstrate that.
no, I agree, there's been changes in all the operations in every job in the industry or government and whatever, probably government more so because of legislation. But I know that the hiring freeze that someone brought forward here 2 meetings ago wasn't to tell staff that we don't hire people. It was that we wanted to be notified when there was a need to replace or hire people, that it would not be done without our knowledge. And that's all they ask for, these people here.
Well, then rewrite the
Well, I don't.
motion.
All it says is hiring
Well, you
freeze
got
subject
hiring
to
freeze
council.
for what?
Subject to council approval. It doesn't say there's not gonna be a hiring. It just says it's subject to council
worded
approval.
wrong.
If they need a person,
The word freeze shouldn't be there.
of course it should.
Yes, Ken?
Well, actually, I took that from the 3 years ago in March when council put on a hiring freeze. It came out from the staff report. And I corrected that at the last meeting. I said it's not a hiring freeze, and I changed the motion because it was incorrect. And it came out again with hiring freeze. I don't see it as a hiring freeze. All I said was that council should have the responsibility of knowing who's being hired and approving. Just
do
that
we-
level only. After that, we don't do anything staff hires.
So do we do that with police and?
Well, that's number one in here. That's number one. I'll ask a question because I don't know the answers, and I've asked these questions, I've had answers, but does council have jurisdiction over these boards? What jurisdiction do we have over these boards?
Over the police services board, virtually nothing.
And why is that question in there? And the library board is, I believe, the budget only.
It's a provincial entity.
Yeah, so the question is there, we tend to be adopted the same, does this tend to be adopted by police service board and the library board? If we have no control, why is that question there?
And the fire department.
No, we don't, that's not the question.
Yeah. Yes, Bob?
On page 7, from the minutes of the meeting, the amended resolution was just effective immediately. Council will review the replacement of existing positions that become vacant, excluding volunteer firefighters.
Yeah.
So I think that your wording is correct, like the word freeze is gone.
Yeah.
And the change has been made, and the staff is only asking for direction and simply clarification of what was being asked for that night. My understanding was that as we did after that meeting, that last meeting where we did that, we met and we approved the replacement of 2 positions. And that's my understanding, that's how that this was the intent of this. Is that not right? Because that's why I supported it.
That was the intent of my.
Okay, then it's fine. I think that's the direction, is just bring, when we need somebody, example, the 2 attendants at the complex, I believe they were.
Yes.
Bring them, council will hear it and approve it. So that's, I think, all we wanted.
That's all.
Yeah, so the word freeze was removed.
Okay.
Okay, so that I think is what they want. As for the police and the library, I can't speak to them either, but I don't think we actually can say anything.
They're autonomous boards.
Yes, Ray?
You're right, they're autonomous boards, but we still supply the money. We do that with these people paying us to make sure that their money is well taken care of. And I believe that council does have a right to how much money they're going to get. Go ahead.
Well, how much money? No, I'll tell them to go.
Oh, go ahead. Whatever.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good one.
Councilor Bill.
When it comes to the police services board, council can either accept the budget or reject the budget. And if the police services board said we can't do anything different, then you have to appeal it to an arbitration board.
That's correct.
And that's the only control that we have, other than the fact that the mayor chooses 2 people for the police services board, plus 1 civilian for the police services board. So, but it's not the will of council, it's the will of 2 or 3 people who are working on that board, along with the government appointees.
That's right.
And now, I want you to keep in mind too, that staff is overworked now.
I wouldn't know.
I know you wouldn't, but just to do that report for that land, that took a ton of time and a lot of work to put that together.
I can imagine it took
So
time.
when they're doing those things, there's other things that are falling by the wayside that they can't keep up with. We're doing police costing, fire costing, we're doing all
Budgets.
kinds of things, budget, and we're piling that up, and we expect one person to be able to pull that off. And then we want to say, well, we're going to freeze the darn thing, like, yeah.
No, that's not how we said it, but
How's it
nonetheless.
wrong?
Could I ask how long it took to make this report about how many people are casual and part-time and whatever?
I don't know that.
Well, I would like to know how long it took, because it took staff time and who requested it. When we really didn't need it, we didn't have a start and freeze, we asked to be notified. And we put this in here to contradict what was done on a motion last
It
week.
doesn't contradict anything. It
Well, it
shows,
tried to.
it shows you what kind of
And that's all.
operation's been going on with those amounts of people.
I understand that.
Who was here and who isn't here.
Did you request it?
No,
Neither did I. Who did?
I don't know.
Oh, so we had time to do that then, Your Worship. I guess.
Well,
We're not-
let's-
We still have some time available.
If I open my mouth, you'll just climb all over me every time. Anybody else got questions or comments? Councillor Ray?
The intention is not to jump all over you, in case you're wondering. I mean, but you
I
shouldn't jump
carry
all
some
over
of
us
it.
either, though.
Pardon?
You shouldn't be jumping all over us either.
I didn't jump all over you.
Oh, come on, I don't know how many times you told this man to shut up. I don't know, that's
You're
rude.
making that up.
You said be quiet. I'm not.
That's not shut up.
Well. I mean, you shouldn't be talking like that to your council.
Point of order, Your Worship.
All right, point of order, you guys. So what's our decision on this then, Ken?
There's no motion.
I don't think, it was just a question.
They just asked for information.
Yeah.
Direction, I think we gave it.
I don't think really any of us councillors believe that staff doesn't work hard. I know just what was mentioned, this thing, absolutely amazing, the amount of work they do. And this is not to criticize them. We, we don't necessarily have a good working relationship, but that's the way it is. It's personalities involved in everything, where we go, there's personalities involved. And that's the way it's going to be. The answer to these questions, how long is the hiring freeze? It's not a freeze. It'll be in effect until council changes it. 3 years ago, council decided to. Today's council didn't. And do we want to revise hiring policy? I assume it's going to be in here. We could. Doesn't really matter.
You made reference to a while back, 3 years ago, when KPMG was going to do something, and we made a hiring freeze at that time.
Correct.
And the condition in that is until the service review is done.
Yes. And then when the service review was done.
The service review is done
The
now.
resolution was changed again. Yes.
All right. What do we need now?
Carry on to the next section of the agenda.
Correspondence for information only, there's none. Information, this information was previously circulated to council, the check register, Phenom Winter newsletter, Phenom correspondence regarding general regulations and Endangered Species Act. Conference and conventions, there's none. Mayor and councilor, mayor and councilor reports and announcements, verbal. Anybody got anything to say yet? Bob?
I thought you were going to just do the usual, so I'll start with myself.
Okay.
Just now that we can, the consultation, public consultation will be for the OPP Police Services Options Review will be held on April 19th that evening at the Legion Hall in Espanola. We will have a very capable moderator available, as well as the OPP and of course our own force would no doubt be represented as well. So, and just a reminder that people need, there is a link on the town website to put forth questions that will be answered on the website as well. Thank you.
Councilor Ray?
Nothing.
Councilor Ron?
I'd like to say it was nice. I received an email from Cynthia. We got our extension with the OPP for 2 months. And that was certainly nice. And our staff had requested that to give us a little more time. And the OPP, open house, whatever you want to call it, is at the Legion, where the acoustics are much better than they were at the complex. Will it be live streamed?
No, there's no Wi-Fi.
There's no Wi-Fi there? Okay. Because there are people asking me, because
Yeah,
they're not
and
able to go.
that's the trade-off of not having it at the complex. Yeah.
Okay, tonight would have been our night for a fire hall meeting, but I'm assuming we had no information.
That's right.
So,
I got a note here for that. The committee of the whole meeting will be March the 9th at 11 a.m.
perfect. Thank you.
Dr. Heather.
So my paper here says April 19th, 2017.
Okay, you had to go last year.
2018, yeah.
I missed it. But it's corrected? Okay.
Okay? Counselor Cash.
Nothing, Charlie.
Counselor Bill.
We're gonna delay the budget process a little bit. We're probably pretty close to hearing about some grants, particularly on Highway 6. And if we do Highway 6, it means we defer other spending, and it means we don't have to tax for it. So rather than make some guesses, we're prepared, I'm suggesting we just wait a little bit, and it helps to offset the impact on taxes.
Thank you.
I have a couple more items,
okay,
okay? I think we should bring somebody in from the OPP to go over the OPP costing model. We've got our costs based on the calls for service, and we can look at that as well, just to refresh ourselves how that all works, if council's prepared to do that.
Can I ask, when do you want to do that?
Well, I don't
Before the open house?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. With all of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason for that is, we don't, that open house meeting, and that's the next item on the agenda. We don't want to make it a 5-hour meeting, okay, by having to cover everything off. So if we can cover off, the OPP model might take an hour or two to go through, and that might be worthwhile doing that, so we don't have to do that at the open house. The other thing is, at the open house, there'll be some sort of presentation that goes on, and I want to make sure we have some council input into what some of that is. So I'm suggesting and I'm going to suggest that Bob and I, because we're on the Policing Options Committee, that we can sit down with Cynthia and work out, Cynthia will have some things she wants, and from a council perspective, we may want to make sure we cover some other things off.
I'm certainly in favor of that, Your Worship, because these two gentlemen, as you know, you've appointed them on that committee, and they've been in the know from the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you have a motion for that, Bill?
I don't think you can use everybody's agreement, and then, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Corporate Services Committee meeting of March 6th at 3 p.m. Regular meeting of council of March 13th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Committee of the whole meeting of March 27th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. Regular meeting of council of March 27th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Policing options public consultation April 19th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Espanola Legion. What?
2018.
2018. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
This meeting of
Oh, Your Worship, you said you were going to speak about the committee of the whole on March 9th.
Well, I did.
I
Did
heard
you hear
say-
it?
So like the meeting.
I heard, well, you spoke to me, I thought you said you had more to speak about.
Okay, I'll do it again for you.
No, that's fine, if that's all there was. I thought the way you talked, you were going to elaborate a little further, Your Worship.
No, I'm only elaborating as far as committee of the whole meeting, March the 9th at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Regular meeting of council is hereby adjourned. All in favor? Carried.